So this year has been my son's first full year in minor hockey. And to say that I've enjoyed watching him play is an understatement. There are a number of reasons for this. First and foremost, he's my kid, so watching him do anything brings joy to my heart. Secondly, hockey is my favorite sport, so any chance I get to be in an arena watching players fire the puck around is a real treat for me. And also, it's a great opportunity to connect with other young families in our community. Anyway, a month or so into the season, I noticed that he wasn't really moving his feet very much out there anymore. And when the play did come to him, he just started diving at the puck and or the opposing player. Now, my son is highly competitive. Just ask his older sister. So I was a little bit confused as to why this was going on, especially because when I would watch him in drills and practice, I could see that he can skate much more quickly than he's showing in his games. Now, my son is not one to readily admit what is bothering him, and actually it sometimes even takes him a while to verbalize what's wrong. So I started watching him really closely out there. And at first, I thought, maybe he just needs his skate sharpened. But the more I watched, the more I felt I had a good idea what was going on. So one night on the way home from practice, I asked him, hey, is the reason that you're not skating hard or staying on your feet in the games because you're worried about crashing? And he said, yes. I'm worried about crashing into the boards if I skate fast because I can't stop yet. Now, my first inclination was to fire up the Mighty Ducks movie and watch how Coach Bombay and Luis Mendoza did it. But on second thought, I decided I'm going to message his coach and tell him what's going on and just ask him if he can really focus on doing stopping drills with my son. So just to recap, I noticed there was an issue with my son's game. I identified the problem, and then I started working to correct it. Which brings me to the Oilers. After watching this team crash and burn over the course of the last 5 or 6 weeks, I'm pretty sure there's something wrong. I mean, there are a lot of things wrong, but I think that the most imminent problem that they need to deal with is the coaching. I really don't want to be misunderstood on this point. I like Dave Tippett. He obviously cares about his players a great deal. I can't imagine we will hear any Babcock-esque stories coming out about him, ever. He seems like a stand-up guy. Draisaitl's recent comments make it clear that the players respect Tippett and are still listening to him. Having said that, there are two main issues with Tippett's coaching style that are absolutely sewering this team's chances of winning right now. The first is something that many Oilers fans, including myself, have been complaining about for years: loading up the top two lines, or even worse, playing McDavid and Draisaitl together. Obviously, there are exceptions to this, like when the team is down by one with the goalie pulled. But as a rule, Tippett should never resort to this, because even though it may get him a goal or a win in the short term, it creates problems for all of his forwards. First of all, this creates an atmosphere where 29 and 97 are expected to score all the goals, and the other three lines just need to not get scored on. That puts extra pressure on McDavid and Draisaitl to do all of the scoring. These guys are phenomenal athletes and unbelievable scorers, but the mental and emotional stress this puts them under burns them out. Secondly, any players on the second, third, or fourth line who are struggling with their confidence get a real kick in the head from Tippett when they get lesser skilled line mates and less minutes to score. And third, Holland may have done an underwhelming job of adding forward depth in the summer, but Tippett still has the personnel to ice 3 very solid scoring lines when everybody's healthy. If he would run his strongest forwards in pairs across 3 lines, they would all have a nice blend of speed, finesse, and physicality, which I've given an example of here. Feel free to rip it apart in the comments. Then the Oilers would be much more difficult to defend against. Unfortunately, there's no evidence that this will work because the Oilers have never actually tried to do it. Instead, and this is the second issue I have with Tippett's coaching style, he'll take guys like Kyle Turris, Devon Shore, and Colton Sevier and elevate them up the lineup. None of these guys should ever see more ice time than a 4th line if they're even going to be on the active roster. He also can't wait to throw Mike Smith in goal every chance he gets, despite his constant injury troubles and poor play. Tippett consistently giving minutes to old, washed-up veterans is killing this team. Look, I'm all for slowly developing young players. I mean, we all know the Oilers rushed guys for years, but Tippett literally has 2 young players available that have shown they are capable of filling spots on the roster in Ryan McLeod and Stuart Skinner. At 5-on-5, Ryan McLeod has a better goals for percentage, shots for percentage, Fenwick percentage, Corsi for percentage, and expected goals for percentage than Derek Ryan or Kyle Turris. And yet both Holland and Tippett claim he isn't ready to be a 3C. Stuart Skinner has a better 5-on-5 save percentage, goals saved above average, and goals saved above expected than either Smith or Koskinen, yet he's playing on the farm team. Dave Tippett needs to clue in that if you have players like McDavid making $12.5 million, you need young players on ELCs contributing. So based on everything I've said, the answer here would either be Tippett needs to change his coaching tactics and quick, or the Oilers need to fire him. You know what isn't the solution here? Bringing in the most publicly dysfunctional hockey player available. Bob Stauffer can blather on all day long about Kane's offensive contributions. What about his offensive behavior? You really think bringing a raging narcissist into this situation is going to improve things? I've had extended personal experience with a narcissist, and I can tell you, they will destroy everything in their path and not even blink an eye. If you bring this guy in, not only would you be poisoning the locker room, you would be alienating a huge portion of the fan base, myself included, who will just simply refuse to cheer for this guy because he's such a jerk. I mean, look, if you think Evander Kane is the answer, what the hell is the question?